Time is 6:18 p.m. on this, the 10th day of May 2022. And I call this special call meeting of the United Independent School District Board of Trustees to order. If I can have the board members present, recite their name for the record.
Ricardo Rodriguez present.
Alicia Flores present.
Frank Castillo present.
Ricardo Molina present.
And myself, Ramiro Valdez, third, present. Let the record show that the quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Agenda item 3, public comments, Mr. Gonzalez.
Yes, we have multiple.
Yes, we have 6 public comments. 6 public comments. All right, if I can have whoever's first, or everyone.
Number one, Rene Lavinia, on behalf of TSTA, he will be talking about pay raises and employee contracts.
Good afternoon, Mr. Levine. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening for the record, Rene de la Viña. Good evening, honorable board members, Superintendent Gonzalez. I just wanted to come here to state that I'm very proud to say that TST has given thousands of dollars of scholarships to our high school students, both at Laredo ISD and United ISD. A lot of people have the misconception that TST is just about employees. No, we're also here to advocate for our students. So that's why we give scholarships out. We've been doing that for the last 30 years that I can remember. But we're here to advocate on behalf of our students. I just want to thank the board that I noticed that money's getting a little tight. I know that you're 2,000 students short. That's a big cut in money and funding. So I'm just wanted to thank you for not laying off any employees because of lack of funds, or they call it reduction in force. And thank you for keeping everybody. And those that leave, I know you're doing it by attrition. And I think that's fair. And also, now speaking as a former special education teacher, please do not forget our special education students. You know, they're our little angels, and we got to take good care of them. And I just wanted to mention also that please extend the contract for Superintendent Gonzalez. I think he's doing a fantastic job. And anytime I bring up his name anywhere I go, they all say positive things. I haven't heard not one negative thing yet. I'm sure I'll hear one. I mean, nobody's perfect, but 99.999 has always been positive. He's doing a fantastic job, and I've been watching what he's doing, and he's real good. As far as communication, whenever I have a problem with a teacher or whoever, a school employee, as soon as I give him a call, he always calls me within the same day to work it out. And a lot of our grievances have been prevented because of the communication between your superintendent and myself, and also the board members. I know I can call y'all, and we usually can work it out, and I appreciate that. It was good communication and good support. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next, we have Javier Mendoza, who will be speaking on item 4B. You'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. Hi, David Mendoza for the record. I'm one of the bidders that bid for the contract for disinfecting. I know Mr. Gonzalez had on the news said it was, they awarded it to the trustee because he was the lowest bidder. But it was an RFP. RFPs are not awarded to the lowest bidder. It's always awarded to the best offer, best company. His company was probably the least qualified to do that. So you put students and teachers at risk when you hire the trustee to do a job that he's not qualified to do. We have so many companies that started doing that, like Mr. Rodriguez. Some of them were even just doing fraud. They were using water. They weren't even using the proper chemicals. How do we know he was trained to do that? I guess that's why there's open records, because as my company's one of the bidders, NYSD has sent over some letters saying that there's open records request. On the record now, I have no problems with UISD releasing my proposal. I would like to see Mr. Rodriguez's qualifications, what chemicals he used, and this was an as-needed contract. So you awarded a contract, open-ended, to a board trustee where he can tell Mr. Garza, hey, give me more schools, I need more money. This is not a contract where they buy something one time. This was an open-ended contract, which was only an as-needed basis, meaning that in this school, there was an investigation, there was an outbreak, whatever, then they would call him and say, okay, can you do that? But no, instead they started a schedule and awarded him, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, don't you find anything wrong with that? It's like if we hired this attorney and we say, you know what, we're just gonna hire you for a meeting. How much would you charge us for a meeting? and you say, okay, it's gonna be maybe for 5 hours, I'll charge you $200 an hour. But then the contract says, okay, we're gonna hire you, and keep on paying you, like the city of Laredo did with that attorney. A lot of people found that wrong, but yet you awarded a contract to this board of trustees. I find that wrong. I don't think the contract should have been awarded at all. I think Mr. Rodriguez knew that it was not necessary. He already started doing that on his own as a private company. He's making more money than I am at the university for 2 years. At Tammy, I got paid less money than he did as a board trustee doing the schools, his own schools. I did Harmonies for free. I told him, look, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna buy the equipment, and this is the disinfectant that you need. You didn't have to do this. And it's so wrong, because it was an open-ended contract. A contract that was an RFP, and it should never have been awarded to the lowest bidder. Never. And then there were so many discrepancies on his bidding. He bid 0.001 cent. I bid 0.002. But he bid down all the way down, even for small ones.
Why don't you finish your,
That means he didn't know what he was doing. That means someone told him the bid, how to bid. And that is my concern.
thank you, Officer. You?
Next, we have Jaime Mendoza, same item.
Hi, I'm Mendoza for the record.
Okay, sir.
I'm the Vice President for Mendoza Maintenance Group. Thank you for listening to us, the board members. 2 years ago, when I think Mr. Rodriguez started his company, he started advertising on Facebook. Actually got into discussion with one of his family members. Long story short, his family member had to delete the whole conversation because he was saying that they use toxic chemicals and that they have to use PPEs full. In other words, what they were doing is that they were spraying places with toxic chemicals that you probably would die of cancer before you die of COVID. And I told them, like, why are you using those chemicals? I go, especially if you're going to go into a house or into a commercial building or anywhere where there's people. So his company was stating that they use toxic chemicals and that's why their employees have to full gown, head to toe, like if they're dealing with Ebola or with real terminal disease. We don't do that. We use a disinfectant that kills within 4 minutes, and it's a natural disinfectant and it comes from Home Depot. So if there was a problem with the chemicals, not only could you sue us, but you can sue Home Depot. We wouldn't shut down. The business has been doing business for 20 years. We gross about $2 million a year. So we're not a little mom and pop company. We've done business with the city of Dallas, Dallas County, city of Georgetown, Williamson County. We've done business with UT, Texas A&M, Texas A&M Health Science Center. We're not a little company. So that's why, had we been told, hey, Mendoza, you got the contract, we would have consulted, just like we did with Tammy U, Harmony, and other bids that we won. That's not the way to do it. Unfortunately, Mr. Rodriguez is either so unqualified that he couldn't tell you that, or he was so greedy that he just wanted that money. Now, I don't understand why Mr. Gadsden would approve Mr. Rodriguez to be doing this kind of disinfection. Over $300,000. You could have paid overtime. You could have bought more equipment. That's what we did with Harmony Charter Schools. We're not even a board member for Harmony. And they told us, what can you do for us? We're going to hire you. We told them, no, that's the same kind of bid that you all took out, Harmony did too. We told them, no. Tammy did the same thing. We told them, no. That's why Tammy, you see about 20 additional, during the height, and even now, we had 20 additional employees wiping down doors during the day when there's a lot of students. Because, so you disinfect at night. The custodial staff is supposed to clean anyways, and they're supposed to be disinfecting. So why did Mr. Rodriguez have to come in after and disinfect it? If somebody comes into the building, they have COVID or any respiratory disease, the whole building now is infected. So it was just a waste of money. COVID was used with a lot of fear to scare people. And I'm just here to tell the board that he violated his fiduciary duty as a trustee because he should have known better not to be charging the school district that much. He took advantage of you guys. I mean, he's your colleague. He sits next to you. And he couldn't be truthful. I mean, if I would have known that he sat on the board, I didn't know that when he got the contract that he sat on the board. I mean, I didn't know he got the contract. When I spoke to my brother, I didn't know, I mean, there's so many releases in the radio that I didn't know he was the board member.
Thank you,
So thank God for that disclosure sheet.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Jose Obando on item 4, contract.
So on the beginning, sir, you have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, for the record, my name is Joe Wando. I'm also here to speak about that contract, and to me, all I see about that is just a political part, just something political going on in the background. I wish that, if we want to go back and check on contracts, this contract, I looked it up, it was since 2020 when the previous superintendent was here, and the previous council, who, thank God, is already gone, he approved it, he said it was caution. Some of you had the opportunity to vote on it, some of you abstained from voting. Your job is to vote yes or no, not to abstain. You got to do a job here. Even the opponents are agreeing, this is something legal. I'm not talking about ethical or moral, I'm just talking about legal. And I think this is just a waste of time, and I wish this time was spent in an effort to advance the education of my kids. I don't mean to diminish what the other gentleman spoke of earlier. The 3 takeaways I have is that somebody made more money than I do. Sorry about that. Somebody somewhere sometimes said something on Facebook. It could have been anybody's. Anybody can use anybody's name if they want to on Facebook. To me, this is just political propaganda. I wish that you all took the effort to look into other contracts, maybe when the superintendent, the previous superintendent was favoring, I don't know, the trophy guy. We all know that, right? We all know he was treating those trophy guys. We could probably look into the COVID relief, the money that's being spent on magazine that nobody knows who owns that magazine, or nobody knows where that magazine is being published, yet we're giving them money from COVID relief to publish what, I don't even know what. And to notice I'm being very careful not to name anyone, because in the past, I've been removed from the board. In fact, I was there when a lady who was pregnant was just by mistake, she made a comment to a very common last name, not mentioning a board of trustee, and she was walked out pregnant. Mind you, walked out of the building. I'm very careful not to name anyone, but if I could, if I wanted to, I could name a district director who favors her son. They created a position for the kid, and then he couldn't pass the teacher's exam. They created another position for the kid. Those are the things that you should be looking into. If this is legal, there's nothing you can do about it. Not that I'm saying that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that an effort could be spent in other places furthering the education of our children. If we want to look back into other contracts, there's other things that I would like to be looking into. And sometime back, I filled some information for the superintendent, and I don't want to share names, like I said, because in the past I was kicked out for naming someone. But I'm surprised that today everybody comes in, names people, and says name, and nothing happens to them. They don't get kicked out. I used to get kicked out for just saying a name, and that doesn't happen today. I'd just like to end this by asking for permission to hand this over to the superintendent, because last time the one that I handed was lost. May I approach and hand this to you?
Well, I should.
Thank you.
The next comment we have is from Ms. Masfigs on contracts.
Sorry, but it's going to take me a little bit to get there. Forgot my cane. Hello, everybody.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'm here to talk about the children and the children alone. Okay? The children are UISD. Don't forget that. Okay? And when we run for whatever, we are here for the children and nothing else. So I am here to ask you, to beg you, to please stop the politicking and the stuff and tend to the children, to the children's needs, to the teachers' needs. Okay? Please, please keep the children, all of us. I worked for the district 32 years. and the children always came first. So please, please think about the children. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any further comments on?
Next, we have the last one, Tomás Treviño, awards and bids.
Good evening, Mr. Drain, you have 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you so much. How y'all doing, board? Lieutenant? Everybody? I'm here to talk about agenda item 4B. Mr. Castillo, why did you sponsor this item if you did not attend the original board meeting in September? That's one. Mr. Montemayor, why did you abstain from the vote in September? We elected you to vote one way or another. What are we going to do to protect our staff and students from COVID? That is the main thing right there. Thank you, ma'am, for the children. Thank you. We need to protect our children. That's what we need to do. We did, and these political things and everything, we don't think about our children, we need to protect our children. I don't know what's going on about the other people, what they were saying about the contract that Mr. Rodriguez, I think you're doing a hell of a job, in my opinion. Superintendent, you're doing a hell of a job too. There's nothing bad about it, everybody. But always remember one thing, our children come first. Please remember that. And I'm saying this because I have 4 kids that go to United, and I don't want them coming home one day, they get COVID or something. That's not right. We take care of them, and like I said, y'all are doing a hell of a job. In my opinion, we all know these are political attacks from the district former illegal council, who approved these by the way, and the former superintendent who is also running for the board. As per Dr. Arturo Garza, there has been an increase in COVID cases, and the number of hospitalization is also increasing. So there you have it. I mean, I believe the doctor, so I don't know what we're doing, but we gotta do something. Let's get it together, you know? All these attacks to whoever or whatever, that's not right. I said it once and I'll say it again, you're doing a hell of a job. The kids, I don't know what's going on. Superintendent, thank you, they voted the right person right there. You're one hell of a man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Further comments?
No further comments.
All right. So, agenda item 4, item for committee consideration, item 4A is approval renewal of employment contracts and incentives for professional employees for the 2022-2023 school/work year.
Ladies, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, ladies of the audience, those that are in attendance, first of all, before I begin, for all others that are here this evening and those that are in the audience, happy Mother's Day. I know you all deserve it. You are the lifeblood of the world. The item that I'll present to you is recommended to the Board of Trustees to consider the approval of contracts for employees of Ward 1 for the 22-23 school year. We presented to you, and the packet is in here, the information was provided to you. There's one addendum that has been presented to you that reflects 3 names, and after this particular item was posted, 3 individuals resigned. They're presented to you, and of course their names are reflected in the pages identified. The administration is recommending renewal of contracts for 275 probationary teachers, 1,836 one-year term teachers, and 8 non-certified teachers, for a total of 2,119 professional teacher contracts. On administrative professional, there are 34 probationary administrative contracts, 1-year term, 504, non-certified 181, for a total of 719 total administrative contracts. The total number of contracts to be presented before you are 2,838. Not reflected in your packet are 391 continuing contracts, and these are automatically renewed by the mere nature of the contracts and their design that goes back a good number of years. They're the old type of contracts. Additionally, we have 116 people or employees that have certification addendums. District of Innovation, we have 21, and those that are retired, we hire are 7. So this is the information presented for the board's consideration for this evening for renewal of employment contracts for the 22-23 school.
And just to confirm, the three names, Mr. Garcia, that we received this afternoon have been removed. And this
Yes,
is,
sir. Actually, the names are here in the packet. That particular document is an addendum for removal.
just wanted to confirm.
Thanks, Your Honor.
So does the numbers differ to what you just said?
If you have those names, the three employees that resigned, you should be good to go.
But the numbers that you mentioned, do they differ?
Actually, the numbers will be minus those three that are presented before you. Yes, sir.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Oliveros to approve as presented. Is that correct, Mr. Oliveros?
Yes, as presented.
As presented, and the second by Mr. Rodriguez. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Okay, thank you. Item 4B is discussion and possible action regarding contract with disinfect home master matters considered there too.
Mr. President, I'll be abstaining. I'll be second.
Yes, Mr. Rodriguez, thank you.
Yes, good evening, legal counsel for the record, Jaime Garcia. Just very briefly on this item, I did want to just discuss some of the legal issues and processes that were followed regarding the RFP 048-2021. Very briefly, UIC distributed 273 proposals for disinfecting services for various district facilities and advertised on a couple of days in 2021, July and August. Did receive 7 proposals, and Disinfect ProMaster was a registered vendor for United since the fall of 2020. So they received an invitation along with those other 272 vendors. 7 resource personnel were involved in the proposal process, including fixed assets and custodial department leadership and purchasing department leadership, 4 UIC employees for the proposed suppliers on the basis of cost, specification responses, attribute questions, and references. And Disinfect ProMaster received first place. Mendoza Maintenance Group received second place. Therefore, Disinfect ProMaster was deemed to legally provide the best value to the district for these services. So it wasn't just the lowest bid, just to have that for the record, the best value, which is the legal phrase. With Mendoza Maintenance Group as a secondary vendor, and it's my understanding that the secondary vendor provides services to UISD in the event that the primary vendor is unable to. And as advised by the district's prior legal counsel, J. Cruz and Associates LLC, Trustee Rodriguez did file the required conflict of interest disclosure forms, and more recently, our office reviewed these forms and found them legally compliant, and we found that all legal processes and rules were followed. At the September 2nd, 2021 board meeting, the board did have a quorum of 4 board members present, and the common law provides that for a school board to act, a motion must be passed by a majority of those members present and voting. Therefore, out of the 2 members voting, both members had to vote for a majority. Both members did vote in the affirmative. And then lastly, a review by the district's external auditor, Gastos and Associates, concluded that the selection of the vendor on this award, RFP 048-2021, was done in compliance with the district's policies and procedures, and I stand here to answer any legal questions. I know staff is here to answer any operational questions that you can have on this item.
Any questions?
Well, I do have a question. But particularly what you just said right now, Gastos audit firm.
Yes, sir.
They're not an investigative firm, correct? They do accounting books.
Correct, yes.
That's all I need to clear up.
Yes, sir. I believe they're CPAs.
They're accountants.
So I have a question.
They do follow the governing body that they have to protect their certification for. It's a highly regulated industry, so there is a lot of credibility when a CPA firm walks in and does an external audit. There's independence in appearance and there's independence in fact. So they do that without our input, without our consultation. They do it all on their own, and again they do it under the AICPA rules.
They do an audit, I understand.
Yes.
They do an audit.
But for a question for council, so are we required to have an investigation?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
No, I don't think so. Nothing illegal is being done here?
Not upon our review of the documents that were submitted and the proposals, we did not find any legally non-compliant issues.
An investigation would have to be something we order. Am I correct?
Probably, yes.
But based on your knowledge of the law, is there a reason for an investigation?
At this time, I cannot think of a reason for an investigation, and based on law.
based on law. But it would be political if we did, I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume.
And Ms. Biggs made, and the last gentleman, Mr. Torino, I can't remember if I got your name wrong, but made the point very clear. We are here for the children, for the students that we serve. I'm almost embarrassed for the teachers, I feel bad for them, that they have to face students every day knowing that this is happening politically. We're being spoken of we are being illy spoken of. And as a board member, quite frankly, I feel like I'm being bullied. I wasn't even at that meeting, and I'm being included in a lot of social media propaganda. And we have to remember at the end of the day that our sole purpose is to protect the students that we serve. Yes, there was a concern for COVID. There was a variant that was rampant through our school district. Our attendance suffered severely. We had to request a waiver. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Rendon, if she's here, but we had to request a waiver for those days because students were either sick or feared coming to school. Talk about custodial staff having to clean our facilities. We were minus, how many? 30 custodial staff members and even more today. And I am not going to have our teachers either suit up or not suit up to disinfect the classrooms. They already have enough on their plates. That is not their job. So us not having the staff that we need to provide a service to ensure the safety of our students and our staff in the classroom, we had to go out to a vendor. There was nothing illegal with it. Would I have voted for it? Probably not, because of the optics. But I have to say, Mr. Molina said it best, because I asked him, Mr. Molina, why did you vote for this item with a board member being the owner of this company? And he, quite frankly, told me, Ms. Olivaros, the only thing I'm guilty of is saving the school district money. Because if we had gone with the other vendor, instead of spending $500,000, we would have spent $1 million.
Would have been cheaper.
Sorry?
Would have been cheaper.
I'd like to make a comment on,
Okay, yes, ma'am.
a lot of things that have been brought up and it turned political because, the only thing is, I had the attorney, I checked the contract, checked everything, checked the vendors. I went through everything to ask him. And then, I said, okay, who's the best vendor? Who can save us money? This is not about Mr. Rodriguez or anybody else. If anybody here has a better contract than Mr. Rodriguez, I would have gone to whoever's here. So I'm not here to do political stuff for Mr. Rodriguez or anybody. At that time, 48 schools were being serviced because of the COVID, and that's what I was looking at, for the teachers, for the kids, for everybody. It wasn't a political thing or a personal thing. It was something that we had to do at that time. Now, if the cases are low, it's good. I would direct the superintendent to look at that contract, and if all the schools want to do disinfect their schools, they can use the social service that they had at that time. They were sick, or a lot of them were out, and that's why I think, and like I said, like Mr. Olivero said, if I'm guilty of something, it's trying to save the kids and our taxpayers. Because I live in Rio Bravo, I don't even breathe the sea, I don't live over here in the north. Those people need the money because they live hard lives out there because we're low, we don't have a lot of money. So every penny that we save, that's why I'm sitting here, because of them. I've been here 26 years, and everything I look at for my kids, my taxpayers, and everybody else. I know there's some companies here, and they can ask for a contract and everything. And if there's something wrong, I want to see it. But like I said, legal, and everybody went through the process of insurance. This company has been here since 2020, and now they're bringing up this item, political stuff.
that's a dirty game because we're, like, it's a big thing, we're here for the kids, not to have personal stuff to each other, you know. This is the worst time I've seen in 26 years, this, because we're looking out for our people, for our staff, and for everybody else. And that's the only thing, that's our job. Not to favor because the second, the fourth, the fifth, or try to cancel a contract to give to somebody else, you know. You modify the contract, there are no schools that be serviced, they're not gonna be serviced. But why are you gonna cancel the contract? That's my thing. You know, a contract is a contract. You know, we don't break anybody else's contract. Why should we break this one? And like I said, the superintendent can look at it and modify and say, like, Alexander's cleaning the schools and 5 other elementary. If all of them want to clean their schools and set aside, fine. They don't have to use it, but we use it when we need it the most.
So,
Thank you, that's my comments.
Mr. Betty, sir, I mean, going back to the internal audit that was here back in the fall, I'm the one that requested, and I did report that to the board, if that's as you don't recall. While they were here, the RCTAs that were out of town, I took advantage of the fact that we got experts here that's looking at making sure that we're not, that everything is done correctly, we dot our i's, cross our t's. I'm the one that requested it, and I reported to you all, and I made sure, and I told Mr. Rodriguez, without me knowing, I did it on my own because I'm responsible to the district, and I'm the one that made that call.
So there is no contract per se?
That's correct.
There is no written agreement, there is no, you're going to get paid so much, you're going to.
There's terms and conditions in the bid attributes.
Right, and so all we're getting are invoices. And that, whether it's verified or not verified, whether it's, you know, they actually go and do these things, it's really very difficult to verify. Now, I don't know about politics, maybe there may be politics. I've made it known already to many people, and I'll make it known publicly. I have no intention of running for re-election, and so I have no political interest in terminating or hurting Mr. Rodriguez's contract. In fact, it pains me to be here. I've stressed over this since the story broke. And the community, the teachers, the people in general have expressed a lot of disappointment in this particular item. That's why I was seconding the placing of this item on the agenda, just like Mr. Betty's and just like Mr. Castillo, because I felt we needed to have this aired out. You know, and just to be fair, Mr. Rodriguez met the legal qualifications for this contract. Even though that law itself is primarily for rural areas where there may not be services, correct me if I'm wrong, where there may not be services to provide in that small town, Ensenada, Jim Hawk County, Cotula, those areas. Laredo is not necessarily a rural area anymore, and we have many vendors who can do the job. But nevertheless, y'all approved this contract. It was vetted through a committee system, which I'm a big supporter of committees, and they gave it the best value. All right. It was recommended by the superintendent. It was submitted to an outside agency, and it was passed. Now, what was presented at the meeting was $60,000 contract. Come to find out after, that's the cost for one cleaning of the entire district. That's what, based on that value. But what's been paid out to date is close to 480,000. Correct? Correct me if I'm wrong.
That's a lot.
So those are my concerns, and I'm not here to throw dirt on anybody, but I think this has to be brought up because we've had media everywhere. We've had, I think Ms. Oliveto said it perfectly. The optics of this looks really bad. I think it has brought morale even to a different level than where we were at already. And I agree with Ms. Molina. I've been on this board almost 12 years, and I've never seen this board ever united in a place where we're at now. I really feel that we're in a bad place. But here's where my concern is. As a board member, you know, we're supposed to self-police ourselves. You checked with TASB, and they told you that there is no policy where board members cannot get contracts amongst nobody has any policies, because there's a lot of self-policing going on. And I think as a board member, I just don't think that we can ever sell. I cannot sell that to the community, say it's okay for a board member to have a contract or to benefit monetarily from any contract with the district in which they serve. It's no offense to Mr. Rodriguez, I just don't think it's right. Personally, that's my personal view. Besides that, we have custodians that we had already trained. There's equipment there in our warehouses that, you know, they could have earned overtime as well. Maybe we didn't have the staff, but we had the equipment. You know, so the training that we had to spend on these people, you know, we could, and I suggest that from now on, that we really look into in-house servicing of our facilities in our schools. I think that, you know, to pay, you know, thousands of dollars versus having some of our employees maybe create some type of a squad to do these things. But, you know, and I went back and I started looking at what I didn't know at the time of the post taking. So this contract, this company has been in existence for 2 years according to the documentation that they've submitted. Now, as a living, I collect delinquent taxes. I have access to the appraisal district, our county records, our district records. There is no disinfect ProMaster. They've not paid a single tax to the school district, to the county, or to the city. There is no, as far as I can tell, and I could be wrong, there's nothing registered with the Secretary of State either. So the employees that were accessing our schools, who vetted them? Who cleared them when they were conducting their scheduled cleanings? Who approved these cleanings at the end of the day? Who said they actually occurred? Whether it be ProMaster or any third party vendor. Who made sure that they were actually completed? Those are questions that I have. You know, politics aside, the superintendent or CEO, because it was a board member, I would have had that file right here. I would have said, hey, I want to know, this is a board member, we should have known this was coming. As a board, as a district, we should have known this was coming. Because of it, it's a board member. You become electric. You become just neon all of a sudden. You stand out. And so we should have known that. You know, I don't want this to happen again. I think this district has always been in a good place. This board has always worked well together. And I think there are a lot of things that we need to do to tackle education-wise. I think Mr. Gonzalez needs that support. He needs to get rid of some of these things that are holding him back and be able to spring forward and start working on academics, start working on successful programs instead of being stuck here, instead of having this black cloud. And we need to get out from that black cloud. It is my recommendation that, you know, this contract will expire at the end of August. My recommendation is just for the sake of the district that it not be, that a board member not have a contract. You know, that if you want to go out for third party, then definitely go out for third party or rebid the contract. But I just cannot see myself supporting this situation again. It just,
Mr. Montana, just a question on that.
it creates a lot of distrust among the district.
Is it a contract? Is it a contract or?
Well,
We just
whatever
said-
the service agreement contract.
So it will end in August, and we're currently not using the services, correct?
We are.
We have modified the schedule really as a need, and I'll give you an example. There was one campus who had some cases, and they contacted us saying that they were able to do those services. You know, each campus has one machine. Our high schools, we don't service them, the company classrooms, they have more than one, they normally have two. They might have bought another with their own budget, the third one. I think the big issue has been the lack of personnel. Back in September when this started, we were short over 20 custodians burned out. We're short of over 40 right now. So at the rec administration, we're looking at a different schedule to address the needs of our children. Number one is going to be safety. We're going to continue to do that. Regardless of what company's out there, we're going to use as needed. And I will share with all of you, we're going to need to move forward to see how we can address the needs of the students, whether it be this company or another one. I will share with you that the case have gone down. Just most recently, 3 weeks ago, we had as little as 4 cases. This week, as of today, we have 11. So they're coming up again. So we're going to continue to support as best we can.
So yeah, just to finish up, Jaime, this has been very difficult to see USD kind of kicked around lately, because we've always been in a good place, and it's very difficult to just kind of just take it in. Even an abstention now is not good anymore, because you either have to vote yes or you have to vote no. But I'm a big believer, like I said, of the committee system. Legal counsel approved it, the superintendent recommended it, committee approved it, and even at that, to me, that's still not, because of the optics, like Ms. Oliveros said, because of the optics, I'm not going to participate. So, I really hope that we can move past this into a better place. But it's my recommendation that we not continue forward with these kinds of services.
And can I comment on that? As I stated for the record, I was not at that meeting, and you were not the legal counsel that we had at the time. And I was on a set schedule to be out of town with a family member for treatment in San Antonio. And that schedule was known. And I think my position on this was clear to everyone, that how I was going to vote. I was not going to abstain, and I was not going to vote yes. I was going to vote no. And the previous legal counsel and I had at least 2 or more conversations regarding my questions as to how can a board member have business with the school district. And I'm not going to put anyone under the bus, but that previous counsel told me, Elisa, so-and-so at so-and-so entity does this also. This happens. It's legal. And I said, well, it may be legal, but it doesn't look good. And so all of a sudden a meeting was scheduled, and it was when I was scheduled to be out of town. I thought they're not going to make the quorum. I don't know why Mr. Castillo wasn't there, but I do know that why Mr. Ramirez wasn't there. And in my head, I said, they're not going to have a quorum. This isn't going to happen. But I came to find out later there was a quorum, and it did happen. But the reason why I say this is political is because one of the outspoken members in the community said, in November we need to vote a new board in. Well, guess what? In November the whole board is not up for re-election. 3 of us are. Mr. Montemayor just stated he's not up for re-election. Mr. Ramirez wasn't there and he's up for re-election, and I wasn't there and I'm up for re-election. So his statements made it clear that the reason he's doing this is for political reasons. And politics needs to stay out of the district. If you want a politician sitting right here, there are going to be plenty of people running against me in November. You can vote for them. But if you want someone who's here for the children, that's me. I don't get involved in politics. That's not my thing. Unfortunately, to sit here, you have to go through an electoral process. But President Obama said it well when he said, if you spew enough negative energy out there, people start losing trust in their community leaders. They start losing trust in the system. And that's exactly what's happening here. Because why was it okay 10 months ago when I wasn't a part of it? I'm having to answer for people who voted for this, not me. I'm having to answer for others. But why now, 10 months with 2 months left to go? Why now? You know why? Because there's an election in November. And that to me smells like politics. That's all I have to say.
Anybody? I'm going to continue with my comments. I did not get a chance to finish, but I agree with a lot of the statements here that we're supposed to be here for our children, our students. But we're also here for our taxpayers. We're also here for our constituents. And the optics that I saw and I read and I see is not favorable to us. And I do feel for the staff and the teachers who go in and work every day, and they see and hear the same things that we're seeing, It's not political in one respect. It has to do with just one contract. One RFP that was put out that I was not present, and I want to explain why I was not present. On August the 30th of that year, approximately August 29th, 30th, our meeting was set for September the 1st. September the 1st. I was ready to go. Let's go do it. Let's go see what's happening. It was changed to September 2nd, a Thursday. I couldn't attend it. I was ready to go on Wednesday. So on the 2nd, there was a family gathering that I had committed to for several months already, that I could not get away. That's why I didn't attend. For those people who want to say, well, Frank Castillo wasn't there, that's correct. But there was a family reason why I couldn't attend. And I question now, why did they move it from September 1st to September 2nd? I wasn't asked. It just happened. I was ready, willing, and able to attend September 1st. Also, that's my only question I have as far as a board member. The question that I'm bringing up right now really is just coming from the public, from my constituents, from people that talk to me, who call me and tell me their concerns. And I'm here to answer to District 7 constituents. Why did we have to have this service? We have over 400 janitors throughout the district. Correct me if I'm wrong, 375 to 400 janitors. I think some of them would have appreciated to be given extra hours to come and work and do this disinfecting. They could have used the overtime, quite honestly. Now, I have concerns because I know how bidding processes work, and I know that when you evaluate, it's your judgment. I want to make sure that nobody is ever influenced by anybody in how they grade the vendors. I want to make sure, and so I agree with Mr. Montemayor, we need to modify that because it's suspicious that a 20-year business versus one that's less than 2 years at the time. I don't know how you would handle it at home if you had a plumber, somebody who's going to come and do some housework for you. You get the idea. Who do you want working for there? And also, why did we not place a limit in the amount of costs that we're going to expend on this? That, to me, is a flashlight. It's flashing. There's something going on here. It's not political. We just have questions, and people deserve answers. And the people that are asking the questions, they're not political people. They're just saying, hey, what are you doing with my taxes? What are you paying? Who are you really trying to work with? So my particular individual feeling, and I know that we stand together, Alisa, I know that at the end of the day, we're going to be seen as a group. Well, sometimes I'm glad you express your concern. I'm expressing mine. I have a right to express my concern. I don't feel good. I'm embarrassed. I'm disappointed. Who do we point at? Probably have to be Mr. Gonzalez. I don't know where. We rely on him to give us the accurate information. Jaime, you were working with a prior law firm. You tell us what is right, what's wrong. But I have to rely on that. And so the community needs to know that all of us here, we rely on this information coming to us accurately and up to date and lawfully. I think at the end of the day, one of the things that I agree with Ms. Flores Oliveros is that I think we need to remember that we're here to serve others and not serve ourselves. Thank you.
I'd like to comment, Mr. Castillo, that you have a lot of personal comments, and then I disagree with a lot of your comments, and like I said, we're here to save money for the district. I don't know how you see it, but, we went with the lowest bidder, legal and everything, and, you know, you're just making a big thing out of this. If you get something legal, you want to investigate it or whatever, who's gonna make it, who's gonna pay for it? Just because you have, personal questions. You know, who's gonna pay for the investigation? You are, the district's gonna pay. So like I said, you know, I appreciate your comments, but they're your personal comments.
They're individual comments, that's
Yeah,
correct. Personal, not necessary.
All right,
Okay, I would just like to end with the defense of our superintendent. We did have public comment that this vendor was been with us since 2020, so it's an inherited vendor, and ultimately the board makes the decision. It doesn't fall on the superintendent. That responsibility falls on this body, this governing body, not the superintendent. And in defense of our legal counsel, legal counsel is going to advise you of whether something is legal or not legal. It's our responsibility to determine whether it's ethical or not. Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Just, should I just, if I make one comment? I like to, because I take a lot of offense when any board member criticizing any of our employees, in particular the committee members that made the choice that were there, who I consider the experts when it comes to as far as, you know, with the bids and so forth. So I have full confidence in the people we have in the district at this time. We've never had any issues in the past, per se, and I stand by the people that work for UISD. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so without any further comments, is there a motion?
I want you to evaluate the contract and as needed. If they don't need it, they don't use it. You know, till they then, you know, if all the school want to clean their school, fine. But, you know, I don't want to terminate an agreement or whatever it is. It's up to you.
We're doing that already.
It's
Okay.
getting done, doing that already. Okay, so I think the contract has always been as needed, so if there's cases, then the services are provided at the request of.
Our staff evaluates the need at that particular campus, or it could be a building in itself, or criminal instruction, whatever building it is. And if they're unable to do it because of staff, then we will go ahead and contract out. Just for the record, just to give you an example of how dire we are with our employees right now, in every area. Last week we had our Teacher of the Year event at another level. We had a call that week from the principal telling us, our custodians can't work. So I called them, I go, what do you mean? He goes, sir, they're just tired. They're gonna get overtime. Sir, I can't get to work. He goes, can you at least give me one? Because we need somebody to open up and to close up for us. So he called me back and said, you know what? I was able to get two, but you're gonna have to fill in with your own. So we got people from other departments to join in. This is an example of how, you know, it's easy for us to say we're gonna get other staff members, and we're trying, we really are. Like, as a board, we are trying to do that. Right now, our staff, because we've been so short-handed all year, again, we started with 20 custodians, and we're short, we're over 40 right now. We gotta look at how we can manage that better, absolutely, and the book stops with me, ladies and gentlemen, it stops with me. I take responsibility for that. And I'm not ashamed to say it, I'm not embarrassed to say it, I could do a better job, absolutely. But at no time will I accept anybody criticizing them or staff members. If anything happens, that needs to come to me, and I will deal with that situation. Thank you.
Just to clarify, back in September when this was approved, we had about 31 staff members that were short. Today, we're at 41, so we actually have more vacancies. In order for us to be able to fulfill just our basic needs, we are actually asking for bus drivers in their off time to come in and help. We actually have food service workers that finish their day and work after hours. We have been to the point where we don't have enough staff. And let me ask, I mean, the vacancies are open. We advertise on billboards, we advertise on our buses. If we can hire the people, we bring them in. Every single individual that applies gets hired. And the reality is we don't have enough people apply. And so that's the fact of the matter.
One last comment from you before, do we have a motion on the floor? Or we're not?
I don't know, motion.
Okay, just, and you know, I appreciate the public comment. There was something that was mentioned by the Mendoza firm that does kind of, I'm a little unsettled by it. The statement that they may be using harmful chemicals. that bothers me. Is there any way we can assure the public through open records, what chemicals are being used by the Rodriguez company?
Just like any other vendor that we contract with, we ask for MSDS sheets, which is a material safety data information that has all the
The
chemical.
MSDS?
Yes, so that is a standard practice that we do with all of our contracts.
Okay.
So whether it's an air conditioning company that puts, chemicals on our equipment, or it's another janitorial service, it is a requirement. It's actually an OSHA requirement for us to have that information readily available.
Okay, yes. And then another comment Mr. Montanaro said that also is kind of unsettled with me is, are we vetting the contractors' employees that are coming into our classroom? Oh, the students aren't there, right, when they're coming in?
That is correct, it's after hours. And so what we do with every single vendor, again, across the board, is there is a certification that they are testifying or certifying that all their employees have been vetted, have been checked for criminal history and so forth and so on. So we don't do it on an individual basis because there's just thousands and thousands of contractors that we have. But we do require that certification so that if something comes up or it is reported, we can cancel the contract based on their disclosure statements.
Okay.
Mr. Garza, now that you're up there, can I ask you a question? Because I wanted to get clarification. My understanding is that, and actually I would want to get legal advice so that I can ask this question. There was a question regarding how soon the preferred vendor was contacted to come into services.
Yes, sir, you can answer.
It was, my question to you is, even before the board voted at that time, September the 2nd, had anybody contacted the preferred vendor prior to that to ensure that his bidding forms had been completed after the deadline of August the 11th, or possibly contacted him to schedule something before the board even approved it?
Yes, sir. So we have a board policy that allows for staff to be able to contract with services up to a certain dollar amount. So we have a rating scale from up to $10,000. We're able to get 3 price quotes, telephone price quotes from 10 to 25,000. We're able to get written price quotes from 25 to 50,000. It's a more formal process. It's called an RFCQ that basically ends up going out for bids, coming back with pricing that does not require board approval. Anything above $50,000, we have to come to the board for formal approval, recommendation to the superintendent. So in this particular instance, we were seeking services prior to the start of school or right when school started to be able to get school started. I mean, we had a lot of...
Do you remember how many vendors you contacted?
Yes, sir. So the bid that we had already received had given us the price quotes that we needed from the legal board policy standpoint. So having the low bidder, having the second low bidder, having the third low bidder was yeah, our best value.
But do you contact all of them, or you just have the preferred one come in and do the work?
Yes, sir, because we had the information that they were at the time, they were the lowest priced vendor. So.
And really quickly, can you confirm that that was approved by the prior council?
Yes, absolutely. As a matter of fact, it was the prior council's recommendation to hold off services until we go on September 2nd to formally approve it so that we can spend over the $25,000.
I believe that's behind me, even you were with the prior council, so you know.
Yeah, but I was an employee, I wasn't a partner or managing partner, I had no decision-making power there.
One last question for Ms. Vailavananis. It's been mentioned on social media that federal ESSER funds were used for this contract.
No, we haven't used any ESSER funds or any other federal funds, SNAP can, yeah, we actually have in our system a way to track our COVID expenses, and that's where we've been kind of keeping track of all the COVID expenses we've had, but we haven't charged to federal grants. But
No ESSER funds have been used,
No
for
federal grants
federal funds
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
No ESSER funds, it's all been general fund, and if I can elaborate, right now, we're getting audited under our ESSER funds, and we have good rapport with the auditors, communicating back and forth. We're supplying all the documentation. They visited with us many times, and so far we haven't received any comments. Everything looks good. We're hoping for a really good result. We respect the federal funds, We didn't take these funds lightly. It's a lot of money. And as an employee that runs the business office, I don't like hearing it either, as much as the board members do, that there's abuse or that there's any kind of misconduct with the funds. If we find a penny in the hall, we actually go drop it off in the petty cash fund, so we take care of everything. And we're not gonna mess around with extra funds.
Thank you. All right, so there's no motion, any?
Well, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Mr.
The
President.
motion is to terminate the contract immediately and see if Mr. Mendoza will help us and the legal counsel can make any arrangements necessary. But the motion is to terminate the contract today.
Mr. Castillo, I had made a motion before.
There was no second, Mr. Molina, yours.
It wasn't second?
There was no second. Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Castillo. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second only because I don't believe any board members should be handling the contract with the district that they sit on.
Discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Montemayor. Any further discussion?
Discussion.
Yes.
We have, every contract we have, or it's not a contract, but every agreement we have has a clause that we can terminate without cause.
There's really not a contract here, like Jaime was saying, it's more of a service contract.
Terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions, so it's pretty much based off of the RFP, but there isn't the contract.
Because we have, history repeats itself. We've done this before. We've terminated a contract based on prior administration's recommendation. We spent a lot of money on legal fees, and we didn't win in the end. I don't want to repeat that with 2 months left to write it out. With 2 months left, where all we have to do is just not use their service and use Mendoza if you'd like. Why are we going to set ourselves up for a legal battle, spend more taxpayer money, because we do answer to our taxpayers and we do have to answer to our constituents? Why 10 months into this game, we're doing this? So that's why I have to not agree with this. And that's my discussion.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so any further discussion? All right, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. All right, all those opposed? Opposed? Aye. All right, 3 opposed. Motion does not pass. All right, so with that, we move on to agenda item 5, closed session. Time is now 7:21 p.m. in accordance with Texas Government Code sections 551.071, 551.074. The board will discuss items 5A, 5B, no action will be taken in closed session. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Convene for closed session. We are now in open session. Time is 7:38 p.m. for the record. No action will be taken in closed session. Agenda item 6A, do you have that?
Yes, the recommendation is that we have a motion to take no action.
All right, so. Make a motion to approve. Motion, no action, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. All those opposed, I'm sorry. None opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 6B.
Yes, once again, the recommendation is a motion to take no action.
Motion, second. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 6C.
Yes, the recommendation is to allow legal counsel to negotiate an agreement with Lewis Petro Properties, Inc. for a subsurface easement, pipeline easement, and right-of-way on Webb County school lines, and to authorize legal counsel to present for approval any potential agreement with Lewis Petro Properties, Inc. to the Webb County Commissioners Court.
So move.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None opposed, motion passes. Agenda item 7 is adjournment. We have a motion to adjourn. So moved.